Why has India become the graveyard of airlines? The untold story of India's dying skies. Imagine a sky that fills with thousands of airplanes every single day, a country whose aviation market is considered the fastest growing in the world, a future where air travel is no longer a luxury for the Indian middle-class family, but has become a part of daily life. Yet within this sky, within this dream, a dark truth is hidden, because this Sam India has also become the world's biggest airline graveyard. This contradiction is as shocking as it is terrifying. A country where passengers keep increasing, airports expand every year, and the government makes big announcements. Why does that Sam country become a death pit for airlines? Why does every airline, whether it begins with small dreams or a grand vision, eventually end up buried under mountains of debt, court cases, and grounded aircraft? Why do hopes that soar in the air suddenly sink into the ground? And the biggest question, is the airline business model in India fundamentally flawed? Or is there something hidden in our skies for decades that no one has ever truly understood? India's aviation history is actually like a thriller, where every decade new characters enter, massive dreams are launched. People say, now things will change, yet the story always crashes at the same point. The first major twist came in 1991, when India liberalized its economy and doors that had been shut for decades suddenly opened. Before that era, these skies were completely under government control. Air India was the queen of international routes, and Indian Airlines ran all domestic routes. Private players were not even allowed. But as soon as the economy moved toward openness, new companies began emerging in aviation. East-West, Damania, Modi Luft, NEPC, Jet Airways. Each airline had a story, an ambition, a dream to change Indian skies. But no one knew how restricted, dangerous, and unforgiving this open sky of India actually was. East-West was the first to take flight, and the first to crash. This crash wasn't a literal plane crash. It was a business crash, a trust crash, and perhaps the biggest political underworld-linked collapse of that era. Its founder, 𝐮𝐸𝐿, created a stir in the market by offering cheap fares. By selling tickets at half the price of Indian Airlines, he started a hustle. Passengers embraced it immediately. But banks turned their backs on him. Cash flow dried up. The fleet was grounded. And then came the day when Wahid was shot dead. That murder remains one of the most mysterious crimes in aviation history. Some say the underworld was involved. Some say it was business rivalry. But whatever the truth, East-West was completely finished by August 1996. Apart from this, the story of Damania Airlines is heartbreak from a completely different angle. They introduced premium service, hot meals, extra legroom, special hospitality. It was a time when passengers of Indian Airlines were stepping out of a jail-like experience and feeling luxury for the first time. Damania gave people the dream that flying can be beautiful. But dreams survive only as long as pockets can sustain them. Their premium model's cost structure could not survive with such low fares. Competition increased, fares dropped, and Damania quietly shut down. It couldn't even last 4 years. Then comes the story of Modi Luft, a mixture of drama and betrayal. It was a joint venture between the Modi Group and the German airline Lufthansa. In the beginning, everything was spectacular. New aircraft, foreign expertise, German training, everything was up to global standards. But within 3 years, allegations of fund misuse surfaced, a fight broke out between the partners, and Lufthansa withdrew the aircraft overnight. Imagine, you're preparing to operate flights the next day, and your entire fleet disappears. DGCA suspended the license, and Modi Luft became history. It was the first major corporate drama of Indian aviation, where ego, mismanagement, and greed destroyed an emerging airline. In all 3 airline crashes, there was one common thread: leases. Aircraft were taken on lease, equity was almost zero, promoters had no real money at risk, And the moment the rupee fell or oil prices increased, the entire airline business model collapsed. Because the contracts were in dollars, even a slight currency fluctuation became a death sentence for the airlines. This pattern began in the 1990s and never broke in the next 30 years. Then came Sahara Airlines, the biggest story of ambition. Sahara reduced fares so drastically that Indian Airlines was shocked. A Mumbai-Delhi flight for just 3,000, while Indian Airlines was charging 6,000, shook the entire market. But cheap fares are not glamorous, not sustainable, and certainly not stable. Sahara took 100% of its aircraft on lease, dollar payments kept rising, and then the East Asian financial crisis caused the rupee to fall. Lease payments increased by nearly 20%. Sahara's debt ballooned. They tried to survive by selling a stake to Jet Airways. Later, Jet bought Sahara entirely and renamed it Jetlight. History wrote an ironic twist. When Jet Airways itself collapsed in 2019, Jetlight was buried in the same grave. Amid this chaos emerged a living legend, Jet Airways, India's first true premium private carrier. Jet displayed standards, service, discipline, and professionalism that no private airline in that era could match. But Jet too ultimately fell into the same graveyard. Overexpansion, mismanagement, excessive debt, corruption allegations, Jet became the perfect example that no matter how good an airline is in India, the system, market dynamics, and flawed economics eventually consume it. Then began the low-cost revolution of the 2000s. Air Deccan gave the slogan, "Common man can fly." Tickets priced at 5 to 700 changed the mobility of the entire nation. Deccan democratized flying. But democratization doesn't mean financial viability. Deccan was purchased by Kingfisher. Vijay Mallya overdosed it with luxury. And in 2012 Kingfisher crashed with 8,000 crore in debt. The downfall of Kingfisher was such a massive scandal that even today it is counted among India's biggest corporate failures. In this decade, regional airlines like Paramount, Air Costa, Air Pegasus, Air Odisha, and Deccan 360 were launched and shut down after seeing trouble long before seeing success. IndiGo, SpiceJet, and GoAir emerged as the three major survivors. But even survivors aren't immortal. Go First collapsed in 2023. SpiceJet is on the brink of collapse at any moment. And IndiGo is the only airline that has shown a stable model. Now the question is, what exactly is India's problem? Why can't the airline business survive here? The biggest reason is India's structural cost trap. In most countries, 25 to 30% of an airline's operating cost is spent on fuel. But in India, it is 40 to 45%. There are so many taxes on aviation turbine fuel, ATF, that airlines almost crash even before they take off. Apart from that, leasing and maintenance are in dollars. If the currency weakens, the airline's condition worsens before it even reaches the ICU. Fares are kept so low due to competition that forget profit, even the cost cannot be recovered. There is a rule in the airline industry. If you keep ticket prices low to fill seats, you slowly push yourself into debt. But in India, if you keep ticket prices high, passengers move to competitors, meaning loss on one side and an even bigger loss on the other. No option. This trap has been going on for decades. Airlines keep fares low, the public stays happy, but the airline becomes bankrupt. This is the same problem that happened in telecom, a race to the bottom. Airfares artificially low, cost structure artificially high. This contrast kills any industry. The biggest pain for airlines is that their biggest expenses, fuel, lease, maintenance, are not in their control, and their revenue, tickets, has to be kept low due to public pressure. That is why mismatched economics slowly kills airlines. IndiGo navigated this maze smartly. Single aircraft type, no frills service, low-cost operations, and low debt. IndiGo's model was efficient. But even IndiGo is now under pressure because of rising fuel prices and new FDTL rules. On the other hand, Air India has been taken over by Tata. Massive investment, rebranding, new fleet. But transformation is a long journey. Air India carries decades of legacy problems. SpiceJet is constantly in survival mode, court cases, disputes with lessors, grounded aircraft. This airline's future can change any day. Akasha Air has come with new hope. But India's aviation history says hopes often take off into the sky only to crash. So is India really the graveyard of airlines? Or is this a myth? The truth is that aviation in India looks glamorous, but is the most dangerous business category. Here dreams take off, headlines are made, big announcements happen. But after a few years, those SAM dreams turn into grounded planes standing in dusty hangars. Airlines will survive only when system, policy, taxation, infrastructure, and market dynamics improve together. If the structure does not change, the story will not change.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.